The last award of the evening is the Valedictorian Award. The valedictorians were selected from the 2012-2015 graduating class, and I'm not even sure if their parents know, so they kept everything secret, but they were going to be addressing the graduates next. I'd like to congratulate Anthony Salvatore and Olivia Tino.
Good evening, parents, teachers, and fellow graduates. My name is Anthony Salvatore,
My name is Olivia Tiano.
and we have been chosen this year to represent the graduating class of the 2012-2013. For some, the journey at St. Padre Pio began 8 years ago when the doors of the school first opened. But for the many students who came in the following years, they still got the chance to truly experience such amazing memories shared by each and every student.
Right from the start, such amazing friendships were made among the students within the classroom and the playground. The teachers could clearly see that this group of kids were going to be much different and a lot more special than the average class. Grade 1 was the year where everything began. We got to experience a new school and new faces as we embarked on an exciting journey. We were split up into 3 different classes, Ms. Mefe, Ms. Angelucci, and Mrs. Caniso. Here we were taught our basic education needs. This was where we developed our foundations in preparation for the upcoming years.
We learned to never give up when we don't succeed the first time, and to always learn from our mistakes. I think the biggest mistake I made was smashing my Jeep in the streets of Safety Village, and having to go home to my dad lecturing me about the rules of the road, and wishing that he would be off the street before I got on them.
In grade 1, we received our first ever project on either a job or an Admore, and I remember being so excited to go home and work for hours trying to finish it to the best of my abilities. But this attitude quickly changed over the years.
In grade 2, we received our first reconciliation and first Holy Communion, which came with months and months of preparation, given by Ms. Sturpin, Mrs. Rocca, and Mrs. Antonopoulos. It turned out to be an extremely successful day, as each and every one of us got the chance to come closer to God.
Aside from receiving these sacraments, we were also introduced to the most important rule that will continue to apply to our lives to this day. The golden rule was to treat others as you wish to be treated. At the time, this rule meant nothing to us. But now that we have matured into young men and women, we can truly recognize the importance of this statement.
Grade 3 was taught by Ms. Pellegrino, Mr. Civicino, and Mrs. Gordino. For some students, this was the first year we met Chivo. This year mainly focused on the preparation for the disaster called EQAO, or as we like to call it, Evil Question Attacking Ontario. I think we all remember the long laborious hours spent on completing practice tests and learning new concepts.
After all the stress, the test ended up being a piece of cake. I also remember becoming a pioneer for a day at Pioneer Village, where we spent the day understanding the difficult lives of pioneers. I enjoyed that day, but I knew I couldn't live without my necessities like my Tamagotchi, DS, TV, and of course my bathroom.
Grade 4 consisted of mainly learning about medieval times and Miss Amaral's screeching finger whistling. And the part that hurt the most was that she'd do it when someone's standing right beside her, so you wouldn't be able to hear for a good 2 days.
I remember how excited both classes were to write the first speech and be able to present it in front of the class. Soon after, we realized that absolutely no one besides Nicholas Vasiliou wanted to ever write and present a speech again. The first class. So many memories came from that year in both mine and Anthony's classes, but one of the main ones that everyone can remember was Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Jersey Boys. Both classes were able to become a part of the Jersey Boy cast in our annual spring musical. All the countless hours were spent outside our portables practicing the dance, because the portables by then felt like a sauna.
I also remember how dedicated our teachers were that year, as every Wednesday they held a math workshop for everyone who needed help on that current unit. Personally, I didn't need help with the math, I just came for the free snacks they gave out each session. Also that year, both Mrs. Agazi and Mrs. Santilli became pregnant, but even though they had the stress of becoming a parent for the first time, they still came to our classrooms every morning with a smile on their face.
Our final year in the junior division was spent in Mr. Mariani and Mr. McDonald's classroom. This was a special year for Mr. Mariani because he got the chance to teach his very first class, and boy, did we make him want to change his mind in his teaching career. Every day, the whole school got to hear the angry voice of Mr. McDonald resonating through the hallways as he took his anger out on Mr. Lucena. This was the second year that we had to complete EQAO. The classrooms became our jail cells, and we became the inmates, being locked in while having the teachers load our minds with information.
Once again, after being locked up for 3 weeks, the test was easy, and most of us passed with flying colors. One of the memories I know most of you in Mr. Mariani's class will remember is the flight test. We were forced to write a test with 1 day's notice, and make a paper airplane and throw it through a balloon. I can only say that wasn't the best idea, sir. All the time we would get Mr. Mariani angry by saying, "Sir, I don't get it." That was his moments of grade 6.
Finally, we entered our intermediate years here at the school. Our teachers were Miss Pellegrino and Mr. Rocca, or as we like to call him, The Rock. This was the first year we got the chance to experience a high school environment as we changed classes for Rotary, and social studies was finally called history and geography.
The last day of grade 6, we were placed in both our new teachers' classrooms to get to know them and what next year will hold for us. I remember myself walking into Mr. Rock's class and seeing a list of consequences on the board for bad behavior. Unlike most teachers who put up the curriculum for the following year, Mr. Rock thought these consequences were much more necessary.
On the other hand, I walked into Miss Pellegrino's classroom and we discussed how much fun we were going to have in our grade 6. Two totally different extremes.
As you can see, Olivia and I both had different perspectives for the next year, as I was scared the whole summer thinking about how many push-ups I would be doing. When we finally began the year, Mr. Rocket immediately started with introducing us to the science lab reports we would have to write. He again scared us by saying we have to write at least one per month. But once we got our first lab back, about 3 months later, we knew he would keep them to a minimum, as he didn't want to mark all those.
Miss Pellegrino was my homeroom teacher and the language teacher for the whole grade. One of the most memorable moments in her classes was reading The Hunger Games. In the beginning, no one seemed to be interested in the novel, but once the dreamy blue-eyed character Peter Malark and the exotic Katniss Everdeen were introduced, the class's perspective on the books changed drastically. Finally, after the Christmas break, the highly anticipated ski trip came around. But of course, before we could hit the slopes, Rocca made us write yet another test on the safety of the hills. I can honestly say that that was the one test that I studied for the most throughout the year.
Once everyone passed the test, we were cleared to finally ski. Before we could leave for our hill, we had to check out with Miss Pellegrino, our police for the day. Soon, the year was coming to an end, and we had found out that Mr. Rocca would not be staying at our school the following year. At first, we were very disappointed and sad, but then we soon realized that it was for his best interest. Don't worry, sir. Wherever the road takes you, students will without a doubt be scared of you, especially in November with that November bus.
We reached the end of our journey here at the school as we started grade 8. Based on the opinion of previous students, we were told that grade 8 would be a flyby. Boy, were we wrong. With teachers like Mr. Trevicino or Chiva and Ms. Agazi, we were pushed to the limit and were expected to do everything to the best of our abilities. About 2 or 3 months into the year, Ms. Agazi finally announced that she was pregnant, even though the whole grade knew by then, with a growing belly and sickness during class.
We know she eats a lot of junk food, but we knew it was impossible for somebody going that fast. This is our first year we have to write exams, and our teachers felt it was necessary to better prepare us for our upcoming high school years. For our annual Christmas play, both classes had a choreographed dance, which each year brings stress to the teachers, worrying about their students messing up, and who can forget the blowing of the fingers.
Next was our final year doing carnival here, and this year was by far the most exciting, as we were station leaders and carnival characters. During that week, all the students bonded with our French and Italian teachers as they put the carnival together.
Following carnival, we began everyone's favorite part of the school year, Fully Alive. For those of you who don't know, this is the sex ed unit, which most teachers hate teaching, but the only teacher I know that did not hate teaching it was Mr. C. We were split up, boys with Mr. C and girls with Mrs. Gassi. The last that would happen during that class are priceless to all, and what happened in those two classrooms stays in those two classrooms.
May 1st was the final day here for Ms. Agazi as the baby's due date was approaching. I can speak on behalf of myself and as well as the entire grade. Ms. Agazi, you are one of the best teachers we have ever had, and you will definitely be remembered by all with your hard work in the classroom and helping out with the sports teams.
Mrs. Agazi replaced Miss Party, which every student was glad about getting here for the remainder of the year. Her famous quote, which everyone remembers, is, "Ain't nobody got time for that." Confirmation quickly approached, and we were then put even closer to God and truly a part of our Catholic faith. Finally, the highlight of the year for everyone was our trip to Quebec City.
The memories we share here will last a lifetime, especially on the boat cruise where the teachers were upstairs and the students were downstairs partying.
The teachers say they just hadn't watched TV, but I could have sworn I smelled a bit of wine in Mr. Chipikino's birthday night. Mr. Chipikino, you're also one of the best teachers we've ever had, and your funny jokes and memories will never be forgotten. Especially those off-topic science lessons that never made sense in the end, but they're always fun to listen in on.
And now we are here, graduating night, which seems so far away years ago. Look around. These are the people you have spent years with learning, laughing, and creating memories. This is our St. Padre Pio family. And as much as some of us are prepared to move on to the next big adventure and to meet new people and experience new things, we can never forget the people that stood with us throughout our elementary years.
In these past 8 years, we have matured greatly because of our teachers and staff at the school. They have taught us many things along the way, which will stay with us forever. We would also like to thank our parents for guiding us down the right path, leading to our future. No matter where we go next year, or even later on in life, we will always have each other, and that's all we can ask for.
Now, I would like to say for the last time at this school, as we walk through these familiar hallways for the last time before we leave,
St. Padre Pio, pray for us, along our journey ahead of us, and may we never forget our past.